Hi, I'm Steve Broughton, the Senior Minister here at Ontario Christian Church, and this is your Midweek Encouragement. So what have you been thinking about? Sometimes I find myself thinking about all kinds of different things going on around me. And one thing we were talking about recently in our community group was the fact that there are all these causes that are coming before us, things that are good and we want to invest in, but the bottom line is we only have so many resources, whether it's time, treasure, or talent. And yet I feel guilty because I can't apply my life to all these things that I believe are important. But the question that I continue to think about and ponder is what is it that God has created me for? What is His purpose for my life? I can't do it all. So what are the specific things that God desires for me to do? And as I've been seeking the Lord, and as I have in the past, I found the fact that He's designed me for certain things, for certain reasons and purposes, to help other people fall in line with Him and find healing and hope in Him. And so He has designed me in a certain way to help others find that. And I find hope in the fact that God's willing to use me, even in my brokenness, for His glory and others' good. And yet I still feel guilty. All these causes bother me because I want to see others kind of fill in the gap so that I don't feel guilty about it. Do you ever feel that way? I hope somebody else does it. So what do I do with that? How do I move on with my week knowing that I can't do it all? Well, the bottom line is I do what I need to do. I do the things that God has equipped me to do to pour into other people and help them. And for you, maybe it be for your kids, pouring into your kids or your grandkids, or maybe the coworker or the friend that is going through a hard time. Instead of seeing all these big causes everywhere that kind of blind us from the realities right in front of us of the things that we could do, instead, help with those things are important, but make sure we're utilizing the time that God has given us on this earth to help others right in front of us as well. And make sure that your mind is focused on God's will and not your own. In Proverbs 19:21, he says, "Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." I want to read it again. "Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." We make so many plans, and our minds are so captivated by so many things happening in front of us, and social media and news and radio and people talking and gossip. It's just nuts out there. And so I have to reel it back in and remind myself that what captures my mind ultimately captures my emotion, which ultimately captures my will or what I do. So I surrender my mind to the Lord and let Him give me His thoughts so that I'm walking in His ways and I'm emoting a way that would honor Him and help others as well. As a matter of fact, we're reminded in Scripture to grieve with those who grieve and to rejoice with those who rejoice. And we're reminded that specifically because God is telling us that the things that we think about and we allow to have control of our minds ultimately control our emotions and ultimately control our ways. So we relinquish all our minds to Christ so that He can manage our steps going forward. So don't become so overwhelmed with all the options in front of us that we miss the cues of what God wants to do with us for our neighbors and for our friends and for our kids and grandkids and our coworkers. And instead we submit our wills to God, our lives to God, our minds to God, and let Him use us accordingly right in the very places that we live and work and play. I just wanted to encourage you, put your hope in God, not your own self, and allow God to fill your mind and your heart and your actions. Live out according to what He is desiring for you to walk out. So just be encouraged to step into faith and join us for this series that we're in right now as we continue to see and find our purpose and find our waypoint of what it means to walk in a way that honors God. So join us Sundays at 10 a.m. God bless.